On the road with the Western Ag Network.
Well, hi everybody, and welcome to On the Road from the Western Ag Network. I'm Russell Nemitz. Well, this year the Midland Empire Angus Association is hosting the 50th anniversary Montana Angus Tour right here in beautiful central Montana. And joining us now is the president of the Montana Angus Association, Chad Denowh from Sidney, Montana. And Chad, you know, before we started this interview, it's hard to believe that we've been doing tours like this for the Montana Angus Association now for 50 years. What a milestone. That in itself is a highlight.
It really is. And it's really amazing they've kept it going this strong. I mean, and we get people from all over the world, really. But it's a great opportunity to come see a lot of different cattle. You'd be surprised at how much diversity there is even within Montana. And it's also a great opportunity to meet a lot of people and visit. I mean, we catch up with a lot of our friends and meet a lot of new people.
You know, commercial cattlemen out there, they each have their different preferences, and I think that's what makes this tour so special, because each one of these breeders like yourself, you know, you can offer these cattlemen, you know, a little bit of everything for what fits their own operation.
That's right. We all have our own challenges in different environments and different operations. Some people like summer calves, some like calve early. I just think everybody has to look at what's best for their operation, and it's good that we have some diversity within the state.
My next question is, there's a lot of positive momentum as well with the Angus breed itself, isn't there? Talk a little bit about that, you know, and just all the exciting stuff going on with the Angus breed and industry.
Well, it really started 50 years ago when this tour started. Montana led the way in performance testing and in doing a lot of these programs that improved our customers' bottom line. And now we have CAB, you know, that's a big driver for Black Angus cattle. But the American Angus Association also does a great job. All the programs they offer Angus Link, the Never Ever program, NHTC, all these things add value to the commercial cattlemen's steers.
You know, and for seed stock producers like yourself, I mean, there's a lot of value as well to belong to the Montana Angus Association for that added exposure, because when you stop and think about it, there's a reason Montana is still known as the seed stock capital of the world.
Oh, there sure is. I was just talking to our rep. We lead in registrations and transfers. We really try to lead the way in the country. We try to keep someone on the American Angus board. But there is a lot of differing views back east, let's put it that way. But we really do lead the way. We have a lot of big operations, and there's just a lot of good cattle up here. So.
You know, bringing things full circle now, I mean, we're just outside the Crazy Mountains at one of the tour stops this year, Inderland Angus, you know. And as we think about all the cattlemen and cattlewomen on this, you know, it's a great opportunity, obviously, to check out some of the highest quality Angus genetics in the entire world. But it also gives cattlemen an opportunity to take a break from their operation, come out and also have a little bit of fun.
Oh, it sure is. All the tours are great. Billings did a great job here. There's so much hospitality. You're not going to go hungry. You're not going to go without a drink. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun people. And there's just a lot of great cattle to look at.
And what a time, really, Chad, to be in the beef cattle business. You know, I mean, it's no secret. It's been kind of a struggle these past few years, but we've actually had a little bit of moisture up here in this part of the world, and the markets are absolutely fantastic right now. But whether in the good times or bad, you and I were talking, genetics still help a cattleman bring top dollar on sale day.
Oh, for sure, and it's getting more important every year, I think. Those feeders know which cattle do good, and they're looking. They're always watching what genetics you're using. I think it's just going to be a bigger deal every year. So.
Well, thank you for giving me a little bit of your time on this year's
Russell.
Montana Angus Tour. Again, we've been visiting with Chad Denowh, of course, his family, Gartner Denowh Angus out of Sidney, Montana. But for the purpose of this interview, Chad is the current president of the Montana Angus Association. Catching up with him here on the 50th anniversary Montana Angus Tour, this year hosted by our friends at the Midland Empire Angus Association. In the meantime, for more information about the Montana Angus Association, you can jump online and visit mtangus.org. Well, joining us now from the Montana Angus Tour is Paul Dykstra with Certified Angus Beef. And Paul, gosh, what a beautiful fall day on this year's Montana Angus Tour here in South Central Montana. You have been coming to this tour for as long as I can remember. You know, just put it in perspective, I guess, why you keep coming back to Montana for this Angus Tour.
Well, Montana's a pretty great place to visit no matter what you're doing, particularly this time of the year, and it's a picture-perfect day for sure, Russell, today. But truthfully, this is a great gathering of Angus enthusiasts, Angus breeders, commercial cattlemen, just a great spot to interact with folks and let them know, the importance of certified Angus beef, what we're doing to generate demand, continue to build demand for registered Angus seed stock, and also to give some kind of market update. Details along the way and the latest happenings and trends, not only with the Certified Angus Beef brand, but just with the beef industry in total.
You know, let's dive a little bit further into that because, I mean, holy cow, I mean, the CAB brand, I mean, obviously is the most well-known branded beef program in the world, and from its humble beginnings to right now, talk about where demand sits. How many pounds of CAB beef is being, offered around the world? It truly is an incredible number.
Well, it's a 1.25 billion pounds this year, and that is the 8th year that we will now have been over 1 billion pounds. So that's a staggering number. Hard to even fathom what that looks like in terms of truckloads of beef, but it's great because the impact, the reaches are far and wide in the U.S. and Canadian cattle industries.
You know, I mean, obviously it's reaching a lot of, everyday type consumers, both, here at home and around the world. But I mean, CAB truly has also become kind of a trusted brand out there in some of those more highly publicized areas, those high-level sporting events, whether it's professional sporting events or the Olympics or something. I mean, talk about how having CAB part of those worldwide venues like that really does help these on-the-ground seed stock and commercial cattlemen in states like Montana.
Well, the truth of the matter is that consumers don't necessarily understand much at all about beef. They know they like it. They know perhaps that it has certain nutritional benefits, which of course is very robust in that way, but they don't differentiate much farther beyond that bit of knowledge, and they're not going to take the time. So as a result, it's brand names that actually win the day, much like many other consumer products. We trust brands and those names that we are familiar with. And we've just had the great fortune at Certified Angus Beef to build that over 45 years. Didn't happen overnight by any means, but those large venues, it's unbelievable that we're able to actually have a presence. And we're only able to do that because of our brand partners in distribution and end user roles that are willing to take the brand with them when they have those large opportunities and these unique spots that frankly I never would have guessed that we would be present at. So it's all very exciting, and again, it's not possible without a pretty sizable volume of product offering available to the public today.
You know, I want to talk about the marketing opportunities of, having CAB part of your cattle operation. I mean, holy cow, I mean, in good times and the more challenging times out here in farm and ranch country, I mean, one thing has been proven time and time again, that if you've got Angus Genetics and you qualify for the CAB program, you're all but assured some additional premiums on sale day.
Well, we're in the fortunate spot today in the industry after all of this progress that we've made with carcass quality and genetics and the impact, in our case, of the Angus genetic package. We're in a spot where those genetics will pay off. And it starts particularly at the packing sector, where those grid premiums are paid back to feed yards, and feed yards are buying cattle that fit their demands from a standpoint of those carcass traits. And so we are seeing, of course, as a rule rather than the exception, that cattle that have the built-in ability to hang carcasses on the rail that'll reach our specs to a high degree, high percentage of not only our premium choice certified Angus beef, but also prime. Those cattle have been rewarded, and it's just very gratifying for everybody involved in the system after putting in that much work.
Isn't it pretty incredible for a couple guys like you and I? We're about the same age. You're thinking about, our dads and granddads and those that came before us. I mean, back before programs like CAB were even available, and the only thing we had available was to sell commodity beef, and now we have this tremendous opportunity at hand. And you folks are making it so easy for commercial cattlemen to really get involved with the CAB program. Your latest endeavor, your latest announcement, the Ranch to Table program.
Yeah, Ranch to Table is an interesting one, and I wouldn't call that one easy though this time, Russell. It's a little more detailed, and that particular brand extension has been designed specifically to help out those registered Angus breeders that are members of the association. If they're involved in a freezer beef type program or any kind of a smaller scale, maybe regional, direct to customer type program, they can partner with us, and those carcasses that still qualify for certified Angus beef, still graded by the USDA as such, they can partner with us to go ahead and put that CAB label on those alongside their ranch or farm name. So it gives them a little more feeling that, hey, we're able to participate in the first person rather than only relying on someone downstream to take care of that marketing advantage that comes with that brand name.
Anything else, Paul, while I've got you gathered up here on the Montana Angus Tour, you know, things coming down the pike, or, you know, other notable highlights you want to just throw out there?
Well, I would want to tell folks today in the cattle business that we know times are pretty good from a price perspective, right? Cattle prices are high. Beef prices are high as well. It may be a little disconcerting to some as we look at demand, but I would send a message of, you know, guess what? I'm still pretty bullish on beef. And the reason for that is the growth that we see in certain sectors, particularly international. We've been in the international market for a very long time with our brand. And of course, most recently with some new developments, particularly in China, but continue to see great growth in places like Mexico and Hong Kong, South Korea. And as we get supplies built back in here, hopefully Mother Nature helps us do that. I think there's plenty of room, not only domestically, but globally for beef demand. And when I say that, I'm also referring to, you know, recent successes we've had this year. Even when total supplies of beef are down, we still experience growth in our domestic food service sector and value-added products and certified Angus beef prime, even as the grade is slightly depressed. So, Russell, you know me, I'm not going to back up very far. I think there's a lot of room in this market for growth and for further profit opportunities.
Hey, that's awesome news. Paul, as always, thank you for being with us here on the Western Ag Network.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Again, we've been visiting with Paul Dykstra with Certified Angus Beef. I don't have to speak much more than what he's already said, but bottom line, that demand for CA beef obviously starts right here at home with those high quality Angus genetics that we're raising in states like Montana.
Hey everybody, Lane Nordland and Russell Nimitz here at the Western Ag Network, reminding you to join us every Sunday morning at 7:05 Mountain for our weekly Fence Lines and Headlines segment.
That's right, Lane. Every week we feature lots of important conversations and cover lots of issues impacting farmers and ranchers from across the West. Well, as we continue our coverage from the 50th annual Montana Angus Tour, again this year hosted by the Midland Empire Angus Association here in south central Montana. One of this year's many attendees was Daryl Stevenson out of White Sulphur Springs, Montana. Of course, Stevenson Angus, and you're also a director of the American Angus Association, and you represent this part of the world on the American Angus Association's board. And you and I were just talking, I mean, there truly is a lot of exciting and important things going on with the Angus breed these days.
Yes, sir. I'm so thrilled with the position of the breed and moving forward on the opportunities that it's being presented. I just came off of a week's worth of board meetings a couple weeks ago and had the opportunity to attend the World Angus Secretariat actually, and the status of Angus worldwide is just phenomenal. I think one statistic that's kind of interesting to me, I'll never forget, Sarah and I were married 28 years ago, 1995, we attended the Certified Angus Beef Conference, and one statistic impacted me that at that point in time, 36% of all harvested cattle in the United States was black-hided. 36%. That's not as significant as what we probably thought it was at that time. Last year, the year of 2022, we surpassed 70%
Wow.
of all harvested cattle in the United States was black-hided.
Now, are they all Angus? No, not necessarily, but we do know from the metrics from certified Angus beef representation in the consumer marketplace that it is big, and the pull through from food service and retail, and that demand through the toughest of times through COVID, and now record low cow herd inventory has just been absolutely phenomenal to see this demand for Angus cattle, specifically that descend from registered pedigree cattle. Quite frankly, in the industry today, there's really only two premiums, whether that carcass grades prime or qualifies for certified Angus beef. And just like commercial producers, these feedlots want that predictability. So it's a good time. Future demand in the next couple of years, where cow herd inventory is going to be tightest on supply, we know that the Angus female and that maternal strength is going to be paramount in rebuilding this national cow herd.
Well, absolutely, and continuing up on your thought on just how far CAB has come in that short amount of time, just only stresses the importance of these commercial cattlemen out here who make the effort to attend tours like the Montana Angus Association's annual Montana Angus Tour and really get to see firsthand, visit with breeders like yourself on tours like this about what genetics fit their operation.
This tour, I just couldn't be more proud and pleased with how it's evolved over time. This is the 50th year, 49 tours in 50 years. We missed the COVID year, but there was a point in time that we thought maybe it's ran its course, and absolutely not. I'm not so sure that I think this might be the biggest crowd ever. I mean, they better prepare themselves tonight. I think they're going to feed at least 500 people at Vermilion. And it's just critical. If you're going to be involved, you need to be engaged in the industry, and there's no better place than in this setting. Aside from the networking, there's so many opportunities to learn what different programs are doing genetically, their management programs. We're all in this together, and at this point, it is the best of times. I mean, we all, in this part of the world at least, have had ample moisture, plenty of feed, and this calf market is finally on our side for once. So the optimism is soaring.
Well, and for seed stock producers like yourself and the many others, whether it's here in Montana or across the West or across America, I mean, they truly also need to understand, I mean, what a team they have working for them on issues and promotion and the whole gamut every single day through a membership with the American Angus Association.
I'm actually really grateful that you actually brought that up. It's been an absolute honor to serve on the board of directors, but if there is one theme that I constantly try to remind the membership is the quality of staff that we have working on our behalf. I mean, there is a team in St. Joe, Missouri, and a team in Worcester, Ohio, that is working on behalf of the entire membership, not only registered seed stock, but the commercial cowman 365 days a year. I mean, it's not only from the CAB retail market, working with the consumer and education, and getting to the point of selling over 1 billion pounds, 1.2 billion pounds of product we will sell this year, clear to the commercial programs, and working with Angus Verified and Angus Link on helping these commercial producers actually validate and promote their feeder calves, so that these feedlots can justify paying more for better genetics. I mean, they're out here working every day. The three entities, CAB, AGI, Angus Genetics, Angus Media, and the Foundation, it's a wide swath that they cover, and they're out here working on our behalf every day of the year.
You know, Darrell, you mentioned a little bit earlier in the interview, I mean, just how high demand these Angus genetics are, especially from Montana. There's a reason we're called the seed stock capital of the world, but not just in this great country of ours, but these Angus genetics coming out of Big Sky country are in high demand around the world.
There's no question about that, and I know you're leading me on here because I have considerable experience in overseas markets, and the Montana cattle have influenced the global marketplace. And I just spent a week in the Czech Republic, at the World Angus Secretariat, and I'll be honest, they need more of our kind of genetics. Performance is king up north. We all sell pounds, but the maternal influence of this cow base, I'll repeat, is going to greatly influence the rebuild of our national cow herd.
Last question, Darrell, before I let you out of the hot seat. We're doing this interview just outside of Rygate, Montana. We're at the Green Mountain Angus Ranch, but all of these Angus breeders, Angus enthusiasts from Montana may or may not be or should be joining folks like yourself here in a couple months down in Orlando, Florida for the Angus Convention itself. Just give us a preview and why it's important to attend that convention.
No doubt. I'm very appreciate you leading into this. I would greatly encourage everybody to consider attending a national convention. It's in Orlando, Florida, November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And it's 2-3 days, short course, Angus University, some workshops, obviously plenty of networking, and then our annual meeting where we do and will elect a new class of board of directors. So that's kind of the business end of the year. It's critical for the membership to show representation, but anybody new that wants to learn a little bit more, it's a place to be.
Absolutely. Hey, buddy, thank you for taking a little time for me.
Yeah, you bet.
Joining us on this program and also this interview. Again, we've been visiting with Daryl Stevenson, a director for the American Angus Association, of course, from the Stevenson family out of Hobson, Montana. He and his wife now call White Sulphur Springs their home these days. Regardless, he's doing a heck of a job for Angus breeders and commercial cattlemen alike who have that desire, that want, and that need for high-quality Angus genetics on their place and all the rewards that come with having this breed part of your cattle operation. Again, for everything the American Angus Association is doing and for more information about the National Angus Convention, again headed for Orlando, Florida, you can jump online and visit angus.org. In the meantime, though, that's going to do it for this edition of On the Road from the 50th Montana Angus Tour here in South Central Montana. For the Western Ag Network, I'm Russell Nemitz. Have a great day.
On the Road with the Western Ag Network.